So warm welcome. German time, 5 o'clock, America's time, Werewool is 11 o'clock in the morning. So we have nearly all time zones tonight. So warm welcome. What's about? It's the virtual trend tour for CIRCULAZE. What is CIRCULAZE? Why we did it? Short introduction. My name is Klaus Schuster. I'm one of the co-founders of CIRCULAZE, who initiated this initiative, the Circular Economy Initiative, together with Natasha Zelko as a co-founder in our team. Why we did it? Together with many corporates we spoke to, we found out, actually we did not find out, others already found it out, that without circular economy, there is no CO2 neutrality in the future. So that's why we decided to create CIRCULAZE as an initiative. Our goal as the initiative is to build a powerful circular economy ecosystem in order to drive more circular economy projects. I can see the questions out in between that pop up at my screen. So how do we want to achieve this? One is that we want to create more awareness about this topic, because even it is quite old topic, circular economy, it doesn't really have enough awareness in the market. The other topic is that by creating awareness, it's about connecting the right people, connecting the dots, connecting experts, connecting corporates with experts, connecting startups with corporates and experts in order to make things happen, but also to make kind of knowledge sharing, because based on connecting and knowledge sharing, we want to create activation so that more projects get launched. So therefore we created different formats to achieve this. And one of these formats are the virtual trend tours. Why? The virtual trend tours exactly bring together what we want to bring together. We have startups that have been evaluated from our top-notch jury of circular economy experts. We created a long list of 100 startups, and out of these startups, we evaluated the top startups in circular economy. We had already a CIRCULAZE night where the startups had the chance to meet corporates and to present themselves and had dinner and drinks together. And another way to connect these startups together with you guys from the corporate side or from the expert side, investor side. Another way to connect you is our virtual trend tour. Virtual trend tour means we have today 3 startups related to one topic. Today, our topic is one of the very important categories if it comes to circular economy. It's fashion and textiles. Today, 3 startups that get the opportunity to present themselves to a crowd of people who are interested in this topic, to present their solution, to present their startup, in order to then have a Q&A session. And after this, you're all welcome to connect the startups, get in contact with the founders in order to maybe drive more projects. That's why we do it, to activate. An initiative like this is not possible without partners. So first of all, I want to thank all our partners who made this possible, who support us with this initiative. It's Deutsche Bahn, DB Cargo, it's Datev, it's Bayersdorf, De facto, Rödl & Partner, Hammersbach, Otto BRF Private Bank, Messe München, Food Affairs, 4P Capital, Jack Wolfskin, and 4P Group. You can see this also on our website. A very warm thank you, because without you, this would not be possible. One of our partners is Xavier Sarras. And when I asked him if he can support us with the virtual trend tour, he said directly yes. Why I'm happy? He's not only a partner, he is also one of our experts in our jury. He is really someone who's deep in the topic. He's an impact investor in the field sustainability. So therefore, I'm very happy that I did not have to convince, he's there here already, convince Xavier, win Xavier as our keynote speaker. He will give you a short overview about the market and why circular economy is so important in the fashion and textile industry. So have fun, enjoy the next more or less 1.5 hours maximum until 6:30. Number 1 on stage, Xavier.
Great, Klaus. Thank you so much. And also thank you for inviting us. I think you stopped my video now, but I can I put it back on? I can probably put it back on. There we go. Okay. Yeah, thanks again for inviting us to become your partner in CIRCULAZE and support the circular economy initiative that you guys are coming up with, and B, of course, for having me as a speaker for these 4 Trend Tour topics. I have the pleasure of speaking to you guys today about the fashion and textiles industry, which is one of the key areas where circular economy plays a huge role, and therefore I'll be very happy to do that. Maybe just as a bit of a background, 4P Capital is a fund, a VC fund, an impact VC fund that I run, and we invest amongst others in circular economy topics, in carbon reduction, and also in what we call social resilience, which is well-being and mental health and sustainability education. But today is my pleasure to really speak to you guys about the circular economy in fashion. And for that, I also brought you some slides just to give you a bit of an overview. And you should now hopefully see this. Klaus, if it's not seeable, then give me a sign. Otherwise, I would just move on. So
it's perfect.
Perfect. It's asking me to leave the webinar. No, I don't want to do that. Good. So fashion textiles, what is it? I mean, clearly, we all love fashion. Fashion is something that expresses, that helps us to express. Fashion has psychology. Fashion is functional. Fashion creates connections because of what we wear, we connect with other people. It creates impressions. We dress to impress. We dress in a certain way to be perceived in a certain way. So fashion does all of these things in a wonderful way and is a great industry. It's a colorful industry. It has all these different aspects to it, which are so fascinating. It's glamorous, but it's also very heavy production. It's got also all these stigmata around it, especially given the production lines that it's got. So it's a very broad field that one can get into when you're in fashion. Some more stats around the fashion industry that I find quite fascinating, and we'll see a few stats on the fashion industry today. The global fashion industry is worth 2.4 trillion US dollars. That's huge. H&M and Gap launch between 2,000 to 4,000 new styles every year. So that's, I mean, you can do the count. It's easier to count in days, I guess. This is close to 12 styles every day of the year. 100 billion garments are bought every year. That will be 134 billion by the end of 2030. And practically all of France works in the fashion industry, in numbers, of course, but just the pure size of what that is, one of the largest countries in Europe, totally involved in fashion if we counted it that way. Clearly, it's a global figure. It is the 4th biggest sector worldwide, so really one to pay attention to. But this is also the fashion industry. The fashion industry is one of the biggest polluters globally. Fashion emits 10% of global greenhouse gases annually. Less than 1% of all the garments we buy get recycled. And it is basically responsible for 20% of global wastewater, with 2,500 liters of water required to produce one cotton shirt. Clearly not a sustainable solution. And it is one of the large marine environment polluters, with a representation of 1/3 of the primary source of microplastics from synthetic clothing. Again, there are fascinating startups working in that field as well, but I'll let you know about startups a little later. Circular fashion per se can actually save the day around this. While we produce 13 kilograms of waste per person in Europe, which would be the size of France, sorry to pick on France, but I'm actually half French, so I'm allowed to do that. But we would need to have the size of France every year to fill with landfills with all of the fashion industry's waste that we're producing. In the US, it's actually almost 3-fold that. An incredible figure that I find flabbergasting, and whenever I read these statistics, it just urges me to move into the innovative space to actually help. And circular fashion and circular design, or circular economy in fashion, can be the answer, and is one of the key answers that we should strive for. And as with everything in fashion, it does start with design. Now, the question is, with what sort of design? Clearly, It is about designing out materials that are not sustainable for materials that are durable, recyclable, or can be extracted for future production. And it is super important that these end products, also in terms of their end life cycle, are materials that can be disposed in nature in a very nature-friendly way, or that they can be further used in production. Plus, we want to design more effective supply chains that reduce CO2. So all of this is basically sustainable design that we need to incorporate in the way that we look at fashion in the future. And we need to get it right. So we always need to design with sustainability in mind and across the entire value chain. Circular design starts with the production, where we look at the materials that we use, where we look at the production facilities, where we look at the production methodologies, at the emissions that we have, at the waste that we produce, at the pollution that we produce, at the actual materials that can be then disposable at the end of the life cycle, or materials that are higher quality in some sort of way, or have certain functions that will let them be upcycled and recycled further on in the life cycle. We need to think of whether that product that we've produced is up for lease or for buy. There are great rental models starting right now so that you can rent your clothes, which clearly is a paradigm shift from where we were. I remember bringing secondhand clothing to a secondhand shop with my mom 35 years ago. That was a very much different experience than what you can do today to recycle your clothing. So you use it or you return it. So we already have business model implications here. Or we upcycle, and it can be an upcycling of the raw material of the actual clothes that has been used. Or there is a full recycling in place where the end life of that specific garment then becomes primary material for the next circular design to start. Finding materials for sustainable use is not enough, though. By now, we have regulation coming up, and we also have bodies such as the Cradle to Cradle organization that hands out certifications for Cradle to Cradle. And when you look at Cradle to Cradle, that global standard for products that are safe, circular, and responsibly made, they look at material health, they look at product circularity in total, they look at how we regard the air and that we preserve clean air and that we protect the climate by what we do. They look at water and soil stewardship so we don't pollute or contaminate water and soil. And they look at social fairness. All of these factors are factors that need to be included in the thoughts about the circular economy in fashion. And at the end of that, what do we do now? Well, the answer is more design, because it's not just about the actual design of the clothes. I was hinting at it on my last slide. It is much more about the business model design that we then put on top of that. We need to look at new business models. We need to reinvent the fashion industry as much as we need to reinvent a lot of different industries in order to become circular. But circular is and will be the only answer to preserve biodiversity and protect our environment and reduce waste and pollution. So let's look at why that is actually worth it. It doesn't only just make sense from an environmental perspective, it's also totally economically viable. And the fund that we run has financial metrics. We are a high performance, top alpha financial venture capital fund that at the same time has impact metrics and impact return. And we see these industries grow in a very, very fast way. 700 billion is the market by 2030 when we look at the circular economy. It will make up 23% of the global fashion industry. Secondhand marketplaces will grow to an estimated volume of 216 billion in the next 4 years. That's a growth of 130% over 4 years. That's huge. That's super fast. The potential that has been identified for the fashion industry lies at 2.4 trillion being circular. So 80% of the entire fashion industry being circular by 2030. That's the potential we have if and when we invest in the right innovation, the right technology, and the right business model transformation. And environmentally, if the stats earlier on in my speech did not scare you enough, then I'll let you know with this one. The fashion industry is overshooting 1.5 degree limit by almost twofold already. Therefore, it is an industry that needs to act in a super fast way. Speaking of super fast, that's one of the reasons why we look at startups. Startups are probably the best vehicle for innovation. There is a large need for innovation. Therefore, we need companies that can be super fast and scale very fast. And versus incumbents and old long-standing companies, startups have a much easier way of doing that. And currently, given the economic crisis that we're in and the overall crisis that we're in, they're also a great investment. And I'm not trying to convince you to invest into startups, but kind of I am, because I think, I'm convinced, right? I really believe in this asset class simply because it also is anti-cyclical. If you invest in early stage startups right now, then you have a possibility to overcome the crisis in an asset class that is also trying to innovate towards a circular economy. So something really worthwhile investing. And we'll see a few examples and we'll hear the examples from our CIRCULAZE initiative in a moment, but here's a bit more inspiration for you guys. So here are a few heroes from the circular fashion industry. Thrift Plus is a bootstrap business. They didn't raise a lot of cash. They raised 1.7 million. They were founded in 2017, and they are really powering the circular fashion in the UK. They're helping consumers resell their secondhand clothes. So if you want to sell your clothes, you can just basically send them to Thrift Plus, and they will do the photography. They will upload it for you. They will manage it for you completely on behalf of you as a reseller. And that lowers the barriers for us to actually get into our wardrobe, take out these pieces and get them sold on a recycling or let's say on a secondhand platform. Infinited Fiber takes a totally different approach. It's a biotech startup from Finland that is turning cellulose-rich waste that would otherwise be burned or would land in landfills into what they call Infina, which is a cellulose carbamate fiber. And this premium fiber reduces our dependency on virgin raw materials. And just to give you a bit of a scale sense, this company was founded in 2016 and by now has raised close to 50 million euros and currently employs about 30 employees. So you can see the amount of cash that is moving into this technology-heavy industry. Then there's Evernew that is used to create engineered fibers at extraordinary performance and environmental advantages from just discarded clothing. So that's the typical recycle piece. You know? You take the old clothing garments and then you transform them into new high-performance garments. Evernew has already raised close to 25 million euros and I think was founded also in 2018. So a fairly fast-moving company. Then there's Resortex, which is a company that we're currently looking at that I know is also befriended with some of the startups presenting later. And Resortex has found a way to enable textile recycling at industrial scale, thanks to what they call automatic garment disassembly. They basically invented a thread that is dissolvable at a certain temperature of 180 degrees Celsius, I think, so you can really wash it and nothing happens, but they have specialized ovens where you can then dissolve basically the thread, and that enables us to disassemble the garment in a very structured and easy way. Just look at your denim if you're wearing one, jeans, for example, and look at how it is stitched. Imagine having to disassemble that in a machine. Now that becomes possible and scalable with the solution that Resortex is coming up with. And that basically is a combination of recycling, where they're halving the CO2 emissions and are reducing textile waste by up to 80%, which I think is fascinating. So these were a few examples, and I would like to encourage you to really look at this opportunity and bring the fashion industry's environmental footprint to a minimum jointly. It is an opportunity and the time to invest into these impact startups. So I'm more than happy to have been the introduction for the startup solutions you're going to be looking at in a minute. And if you feel like you wish to connect, here's my email, or you can also take a photo of the QR code, which will bring you directly to my LinkedIn. And then I'll be more than happy to connect offline. Again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Xavier, for doing the introduction. It shows that you're really deep in there and that you have been, it was a reason to acquire you as an expert for our jury when we found our long list, and especially not only building the long list, it's a lot about evaluation, because there are many great things out there, and the question, what are the right things, what are the good things, and why not asking someone who is investing money in this, because you invest money in things that will have at the end will create a benefit to the world, And because if it creates a benefit to the world, it will be successful. So one question from my side, if you think about investing in startups, so is there kind of any stage that you say you go more like early stage, or so when you look at your portfolio or when you look at the market, and what are the kind of solutions where you focus mostly on, or is there no focus?
So we are a typical early stage investor. We go into what they call pre-seed and seed rounds. So pre-seed is typically just before the team gets started, or once they have decided to start, but at a very, very early stage of their journey. And seed rounds are slightly later when they're moving towards what is called the product market fit. They have started developing a product and are bringing this closer to fitting the market. And we tend to invest in between these two stages or at any extremity. Sometimes we even go into what's called Series A. So that's when the company really has found product market fit and is about to scale into the market. But then we are rather the small investor on the cap table.
How you make sure, because of the pre-seed market, there's so many out there, so how you make sure to find out who are the right ones?
So that's the secret sauce to any VC, I would say. But we make sure to be at the forefront, for example, through being a partner of CIRCULAZE, right? This is one of the initiatives that brings this innovation into our deal flow, where we get to see these companies, but this is not the only platform. So I myself am part of what is called Sigma Squared Society. I'm a supervisory board there. It's a community of 1,000 founders worldwide that have all committed themselves to founding impact startups. They already have 11 unicorns left alone in this community. And just in the European one. So I participate in these types of environments so that I can actively engage with the startups. We also are invested in Avor, which is an accelerator for impact founders, where we are participating as active mentors as well. So here again, a curated way to look at the best that entrepreneurship can bring out in these circles. And of course, we engage with the different impact accelerators and are in close contact with other VCs and business angels. Plus, we have a data science approach to basically searching automatically for the right foundings in this space.
Cool. I have one last question. So when we talk about circular economy, it's about better consumption. It's about a better product or material. It's about better services, or yes, let's call it services, or knowledge transforming, or software solutions, maybe that's the better word instead of services. And the fourth one is like a better waste management or resource management. But instead of creating new materials, what are the ways of waste management or resource management? So what are if you look at the four, what are the main sectors you invest in, or do you say it's more or less all the same?
Well, no, it's we would love to be agnostic, but since we're also in our early stages of our own asset manager, we don't have that much capacity and bandwidth. So we tend to focus on things where we can really add value. So we prefer software-driven models and not so much hardware-driven models, knowing that hardware is a great way to enter this circular economy, let's say, initiative in total. But the more this can be software-driven, the more we will like it, simply because we have marketing and sales frameworks that we apply, and that is easier done with, e-commerce applications or similar that are transforming consumption habits. So that's something that we like a lot, because there we can help best.
Cool. Thank you very much. Actually, I can say we invest in the fund because we are really convinced about what you presented to us. And so therefore,
thank you so
looking
much.
forward for the next future, what's going on there.
Awesome.
So to all the others who are listening, there is the possibility, it's a Q&A where it says, because it's German, F&A, Fragen und Antworten. And you can ask questions, and then I can ask the question afterwards to the speakers. Sorry, I forgot this to tell you before Xavier started his keynote. So if you have any questions during the presentation, now the next one will be the Hurd from Taylor. Here he is already. Taylor is the CEO and co-founder of the Hurd. One of our top 20 startups has been selected from our top jury, 8 really high-level experts for women, for men, who selected 20 top startups. The funny thing actually is that not funny, it's the wrong word. The great thing is more than 50% of all the startups had female founders. And today we have 3 of the startups who will present who are with women founders. So The Hurd Co is one, is with Taylor will present their startup. So instead of trees, they use agri waste to make clothes, to make the world better. So we are looking forward to listen to you, and all the others who listen to their, feel free to ask questions, and then I can ask Taylor afterwards, after presentation.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the intro, Klaus. It's great to be here. Hi, everybody. As Klaus said, I'm Taylor Heisley-Cook, co-founder and CEO of the Hurd Co, where we make it possible to make clothes from agri-waste or agricultural waste. I personally have a background in the apparel industry. I was in the materials and sustainability department at an apparel brand, where I saw firsthand how much brands wanted to incorporate new sustainable materials into their garments, but all the hurdles and struggles they were having doing that. And that led me to start the Hurd Co. So when most people reach for their favorite t-shirt, they don't often think about what it took to get that shirt into their closet, or really even consider what it's made from. But the apparel industry uses a lot of land and water every year to grow plants to make fabric. And by 2030, the demand for that fabric is projected to double. That is simply not possible. We don't have enough land and water to do that, and the industry knows it. The apparel industry is hungry for sustainable and closed-loop materials that will allow them to continue making clothes without destroying the planet. Okay, so a quick overview of fabrics that are used in apparel today. There are three main types. There are natural fabrics like cotton, linen, hemp, synthetic fabrics like polyester, nylon, or acrylic. And then there are man-made cellulosic fabrics, or MMC fabrics. And those are better known by the highlighted names you see on the screen. So viscose, rayon, lyocell. MMC fabrics are actually the fastest growing part of the fiber market. It's projected to be a $50 billion industry by 2025, and that's up from a $25 billion industry in 2019. So it's growing very, very quickly. When people hear these names, viscose, rayon, lyocell, usually people assume they're synthetic fabrics, but they're actually made from trees. Over 200 million trees are logged every year and processed into feedstock pulp, which then goes on its journey through the supply chain to become clothes. And that's where we come in. We disrupt this market by making it possible to use agricultural waste instead of trees. So we use plant material that's normally thrown away or burned after food crops are harvested, and we use our patented technology to transform it into agrelose, which is the first MMC pulp made from 100% agricultural waste. It is, of course, sustainable and tree-free, but importantly, it is also the same quality as tree pulp, and we are able to offer it for the same price as tree pulp, making it an easy choice for manufacturers, or an easy replacement for manufacturers, and an easy choice for brands, especially so deep in the supply chain. Now, being tree-free is a huge part of our sustainability story, but the magic truly lies in our patented system itself. It is a zero-waste system, meaning every time we run the system, we recapture and reuse over 99% of the solvent, and all of our byproducts are captured and used by sustainable manufacturing partners. We like to say we are a zero-waste system, or zero-waste product made from waste. And on top of that, we use half as much water and 350 times less energy than traditional pulping technologies. So even if we were to put trees into our system, it would be dramatically more sustainable than existing tree pulp, but it is a priority for us and for our customers to get away from trees and to capture waste from the agricultural industry. We did do a life cycle assessment a year ago, and found when we compare our pulp to eucalyptus pulp, which is the most sustainable, widely available pulp today, we have half the global warming potential, a third the acidification potential, and less than half the eutrophication potential. So again, dramatic savings over the most sustainable option today. Many other players in the space, of course, we do feel that a rising tide raises all boats, and we're all working together to make the industry more sustainable. But we are doing something fundamentally different from the other players out there. The other companies who are using agricultural waste are producing novel fibers, so new types of fiber that are very cool, very functional, but can be a bit more difficult for brands to incorporate because they don't have an existing supply chain, like an easy plug in to their existing supply chain. Other companies who are producing MMC pulp are using pressure-based or enzyme-based technology, both very effective, but are more expensive to scale than our technology. So right now we are the only company able to offer an MMC pulp made from agricultural waste for the same price as tree pulp. And we don't even need to get to full commercial scale to offer it at that price. That'll be available out of our demonstration facility, which we plan to have up and running next year. Here's the rest of our team. I already introduced myself. My co-founder, David, we met in graduate school at the Bren School of Environmental Science and Management at UC Santa Barbara, University of California, Santa Barbara, where the Hurd Co began as our thesis work. He has a background at a sustainable textile venture fund, so he saw the industry from the finance side. Our CTO, Charles, invented the technology as a PhD student at UC Riverside, where he's also been a professor. Michael has been commercializing university-based technology for the past 30 years, taking it out of the lab and into the market. And Ciara is an industry veteran, having worked both on the fiber side and on the brand side as a textile developer. We are proud alums of the Venture Accelerator at UCLA Anderson, Berkeley Skydeck, and Fashion for Good. We're also, of course, proud to be a CIRCULAZE Top 20 startup, and we have been featured in TechCrunch. Here's our CTO in our lab. This is our current lab. We are right now at lab scale. So we are able to produce 70 grams a day, which is enough to do testing, but not quite enough to make full garments or make full fabric samples. But we are only months away from having our new optimization facility up and running. And that new optimization facility will increase our output to 10 kilograms a day, which is enough to make garments, and also allow us to expand our inputs. There's a lot going on this slide. I'm happy to go more into depth on this pathway in the Q&A after. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in there. But you can see that most of the past year and a half, we've been focusing on getting our pulp to match wood pulp so that it is that one-to-one replacement for manufacturers. And we're very excited that we've hit that milestone. And we are now in the midst of our pre-seed round, getting our optimization facility up and running and expanding our outputs and inputs. These pulp trials were supported by Patagonia, and as I mentioned, we are proud to be a Fashion for Good company. We do have debut collections coming with 5 Fashion for Good partner brands in 2023, end of 2023 and beginning of 2024, which I cannot publicly disclose, but I can share the FFG ecosystem with you. And we're excited to bring product to market, close to market in the next couple of years with them. So that is my spiel. Thank you so much, and happy to answer any questions.
Cool. Thanks a lot. It's impressive. So it's a lot of R&D. What has been done already?
Yes, we have been doing quite a bit of research and development to make sure that our pulp matches the quality of wood pulp. So it is a drop-in replacement for our manufacturing customers.
So if I get it right, R&D is done. It's about now get it scaled up. So when can we expect that? You mentioned Patagonia, Adidas and Sarras and many others. We have many fashion brands in here. So when can they expect that they can buy or can make products out of your product?
So we are doing these pilot collections first with those FFG brands and some other brands on top of that that are external relationships to Fashion for Good. Those we expect to have pulp available for purchase in end of 2023, beginning of 2024. Cool.
Are you still looking for brands interested in joining you at this path? Or you're done? Sorry, but you have to get in line. They can follow
No,
us.
we love connecting with brands. We love working with brands. So of course, we are happy to connect with more brands. We are also currently doing our pre-seed round. We're near the end of our pre-seed round, and we will be opening a seed round beginning of next year once we have our fabric samples, so people can actually touch and hold and feel the fabric that we produce. We will be opening a seed round beginning of next year. So also interested in speaking with investors and other folks that might be interested.
They're fashion brands here, so hopefully they get in contact with you. If they don't have the number and if they're not familiar with LinkedIn, they can ask me and I will make an introduction.
Great, that sounds perfect.
So what are the type of agricultural waste you use actually, and how you collect these kind of agricultural waste? Because I think it's the logistical side, one thing, and what is the material and just the quality, what is the right quality of the material you get from the agricultural side?
Yeah, so our technology is, we say it's waste agnostic. We can use a wide range of agricultural waste with our technology. That said, most of our development work has been done with hemp waste. So waste from both the textile hemp industry and the CBD hemp industry and the food hemp industry. So hemp is a very versatile plant, of course, but regardless what you harvest the plant for. So if you harvest it for seed, you can, you take the seeds off of it, obviously. If you harvest it for CBD, you're taking the oil out of the plant. And if you harvest it for textiles, traditional hemp fabric is made from the bark of the hemp plant. It's not really bark, but that's the best way to think of it. It's like you take the plant and you strip the fibers off the outside, and then those are the long fibers that you beat up and make soft and turn into hemp fabric that we all know and love. Regardless of what you take off of the plant, up to 90% of the biomass is thrown away after that process. So that is what we're working with right now, is that biomass that's thrown away after the plant has served its intended purpose. And we started with hemp for a few different reasons. One, and maybe the most important reason, is just the yield. Hemp is a very hardy plant. And if you think of like a tree is clearly much stronger than like a shaft of wheat, right? That is, a wheat plant is not nearly as strong as a tree plant. And that comes down to, that's sort of reflective of the quality of the cellulose of the plant. And that is what agrelose is at its core. It's cellulose. Man-made cellulosic fabrics are made from cellulose. So hemp, because it's much hardier than, say, wheat or corn, we get about a 2-to-1 yield in our system. So we get, if we put in, a kilogram of hemp material, we get half a kilo of agrelose out of it. So at such a small scale, it makes sense for us to start there. It is also a new industry in the States. So everyone's still trying to figure out what to do with their waste. So it was a good opportunity for us to solve that problem for farmers here as well. Currently, we are working with our primary hemp partner is the largest hemp grower in at least the Western United States. And we're partnered with them. We collect all of their waste and harvest it. The 5-ton-a-day facility that we will be launching next year is located right next to their processing facility. So we minimize the transportation of the waste, and it is, we don't have to ship it anywhere. It just gets trucked from the field into our facility.
Yeah, it's not only materials, a lot of logistic topics is coming up, but I think there's a lot of things that I met the CEO from Rittersport, and they made out, if you produce chocolate, the cacao bean, there's a lot of waste, which you can use the oil for other products. And it was thrown away in the past, and now they make milk out of it. And I think waste is a great opportunity. The challenge is to find a solution how to use it. And I think one is also the logistics. It does not exist today. So you have to create something new if it comes to logistics also, that it comes to your place.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, for our partners, our agri-waste partners, I mean, he's paying to grow the plant, right? Like he's paying for the water, he's paying for the land, he's paying to grow this plant. So it makes sense for him to produce value from all of the plant instead of throwing away. His operation, he only was throwing away 70%. So his was actually more efficient than many other operations, but still to just like have that material that you had to throw away was, that's the value we give to farmers, is that they can generate value from all of their work and land.
Cool. One last question. There are guys who make high quality products in there today, brands from the luxury fashion brand up to the volume. Then it's a question about the quality. We all know if you use paper for printing, you can have recycled paper and it looks like recycled paper. So what is the quality and the look like and the feel like of the product when I use your material to make fashion? It's not only fashion. I think there's an automotive industry. We have seats in the car, you need textile. So is there also, because right now we always spoke, so that's the second question afterwards. We also only spoke about fashion. There textile is many other industries who might be interesting for you also. So quality in other industries.
Sure. So first, to talk about quality, that has been, like I mentioned, the focus of our past, of our R&D has been to make sure that our pulp is chemically identical to wood pulp. And the purpose of that is to make sure that the resulting fabric is behaviorally, functionally, appearance-wise, identical to known lyocell fabric. that's one of the things that I saw when I was working in the industry. A big part of my job was explaining to designers what the new fibers felt like and how they behaved. Designers at their core are artists. They're not even at their core. They are artists. Designers are artists. And if they, they have a set of tools in their heads that they can visualize garments and they know how they behave, and that's how they get garments into the brand, right? So offering a fabric that is the same as a fabric they are already familiar with and know how to work with makes it much easier for them to use it because it's a known entity. So we're right now in the middle of fiber evaluation trials to confirm, scientifically that the fiber is the same as lyocell fiber, but that is our whole purpose. We are the same quality as lyocell. It will not behave any differently. It doesn't. I mean, even if you look at recycled cotton, right? Like if you recycle a cotton fiber, you shred it and then you spin it again into a fiber, and it tends to be a lot weaker unless you're working with. I mean, that's what Evernew has been working on. That's what new natural fiber welders has been working on to make those fibers stronger when you do recycle cotton, but they are different. They are, still a different fiber to like virgin cotton. Ours is not that. There will not be a performance difference. There's not a strength difference. There's not a difference in how it adapts to dye, or, there shouldn't be. We are in all signs and purpose of what we're doing is that there is no difference. But right now we're in the midst of those confirmation trials to have the documentation that shows that they're not different.
So it's not only for fashion, it's also for other industries. If you come to textile market, like if you go like in furniture, you make like in office and seats, they need textile. But if I get it right now, you're more in the fashion industry, correct?
That's right. We are starting with the fashion industry. There's room to expand into other industries later, but right now we are focused in the apparel and textile industry, or textile for apparel industry.
Okay. So thank you. If anybody has questions, I will connect them with you if it comes to investing or working together.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot for sharing your development and where you're staying right now and the next steps, what we can see, what will happen in the future. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much.
So we come from waste management. If it comes to materials, so it's about better consumption, better materials, so products, better service, better waste management. So this is about, actually it's a mixture of better waste management and better production. The next company I will introduce to you is Werewool. Werewool, we have two women from New York, and we are from West Coast to East Coast right now in the US. We have Julian and Valentina, both founders from Werewool. A team of distinguished scientists and innovative textile developers. So it would be hard for me as a sales guy. Maybe one day you need a sales guy too, but for creating the product, I'm not the right guy. And you're designing a revolutionary fiber development platform to create, and now that's a very difficult word for German, biodegradable fibers, correct?
That's right. You got it. Thanks.
So we're looking forward because you create a new material that's not using about waste. It's about really creating something new material in order to make high quality fashion and more sustainable fashion.
That's right. Yeah, a new type of performance textile fiber is our goal.
So go ahead. The stage is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen. All right. Thank you, everyone, for having us here today. I'm Chewy Lee, one of the co-founders and CEO of Werewool.
Hello, I'm Valentina Gomez, one of the co-founders and the Chief Innovation Officer at Werewool. Thank you for having us.
Oh, sorry. And like Klaus introduced us, at Werewool, we're creating a new type of performance textile fiber, one that looks to proteins to replace the plastics, dyes, and toxic finishes that are ubiquitous in the industry today. So a little bit about Valentina and myself. Like Taylor, we have backgrounds in textile development and fashion. We went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, where we studied textile development and marketing. But what started as a career in an industry we loved turned into an education on how every single stage of production of the clothes that we all wear have an impact on our planet. So the traditional The traditional linear take, make, waste production model that the fashion industry currently relies on makes it responsible for 10% of annual global greenhouse gas emissions, 20% of global industrial water pollution, uses more energy than the shipping and aviation industries combined, and is responsible for about 35% of the world's microplastic pollution. So there's clearly an urgent need to do things differently. And what's really cool is that nature does things differently. Nature's organisms have evolved proteins with amazing functionality, color, waterproofing, antimicrobial, even stretch, which can all be achieved through protein structure. So our team was really inspired by this idea of looking to nature strategy for function, harnessing protein structure to create the next generation of textile fibers. So these are some of our first prototypes. The color and fluorescence that you guys can see in these pictures all come from the structure of a protein. So how do we do this? How do we make our fibers? So our team first identifies a protein in nature that with a property of interest. For instance, the red color in the fibers that you saw in that previous slide are created from a protein that can be found in the discosoma coral. Our team takes a DNA sequence responsible for this brilliant red color and engineers it in the lab to enable the protein to link into a fiber that can withstand textile processing. Next, our team takes this sequence and puts them into microbes that act as our raw material factories. We produce these designer proteins in large quantities. Next, our team uses nature's catalyst enzymes to cross-link our designer proteins with bulk biopolymers that we can source from agricultural waste streams. This mixture is then wet spun into a benign cross-linking bath to form our fibers.
So we are developing our technology to be a plug-and-play solution, meaning that it can be easily integrated into the already existing textile supply chain. And so in the beginning stages, we have the raw materials which are required to produce materials required to produce our fibers will be sourced through a contract manufacturer who will brew our designer proteins. And then our biopolymers, which is the bulk of our fiber, they will be sourced through plant-based ag waste streams. And from there, our fibers will be wet spun, which is a process that's used to make man-made cellulosic fibers, as Taylor said. But what's unique about our process is this green chemistry approach. So we're eliminating the toxic solvent chemistry that's conventionally used for wet spinning. And since our designer proteins give our fibers an inherent color, this allows us to cut out the dyeing process along with its costs and impacts from the supply chain. And from there, our fibers will seamlessly integrate into the supply chain from yarn to a finished product that a brand can sell to their consumer. And so the apparel and eco-fiber market is rapidly growing, and it's really being fueled by brands who are actively committing to sustainable manufacturing. And this has put a really heavy focus on fiber sourcing, as brands have seen that 60 to 80% of a product's impact can come from the raw material stage. And so we've chosen the athletic apparel market as our beachhead market, as it has one of the largest market shares of the apparel industry, but it's also heavily reliant on synthetic fibers for their performance. And so ultimately our goal is to displace these synthetic fibers such as nylon and polyester, which currently makes up over 60% of all clothing that's made today. And so there's been a lot of cool technologies being implemented in the marketplace, but still a lot of these eco-fibers, they come with caveats and they're leaving brands with unmet needs. So like recycled polyester, it extends the life of a plastic bottle once, but it still sheds microplastics that persist in the environment. And all of these fibers are still reliant on conventional dyeing and finishing processes, which introduce toxicity and compromise biodegradability.
So these are our current prototype fibers. Again, the color and fluorescence of these fibers can be attributed to protein structure. We're currently at TRL4 with one patent filed on our enzymatic cross-linking process. And we're currently working with contract partners on adapting our lab scale fiber formation processes to that industrial wet spinning line that Valentina mentioned earlier. To get our technology out of the lab and into the marketplace, we're focused on scaling our fermentation and fiber production capacities. Ultimately, our goal isn't to become a fiber manufacturer, but to work with customers in a licensing model while we continue to expand our performance fiber offerings. Our team just closed our first round of funding, and we're currently looking for support in the form of mentorship, advisory board members, and also if there's any brands on this call, we would love to talk to you and just talk about your specs that you need for your fabrics. So since 2018, our team has gained a lot of traction in the fashion industry with the support of the H&M Foundation, letters of interest, and signed NDAs with other top apparel brands and fiber manufacturers. Our conversations with these stakeholders have validated Werewool's value proposition, which is the reduction of greenhouse gases through the use of renewable raw materials, an alternative dyeing and finishing process that can reduce wastewater and ecotoxicity, and finally, biodegradable fibers that can mitigate microplastic pollution. So before we go, this is our amazing team that is turning this idea into reality. Together, our team sees a future where our sneakers, yoga pants, and rain jackets can have textile performance without plastics and color without water pollution. We see Werewool as a platform where we can create not just one kind of fiber, but an array of biodegradable performance textiles with inherent properties, UV protection, waterproofing, even color changing, for a future where textile production does not have to be synonymous with environmental impacts. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks a lot. I'm also back on stage. Oh, here you are.
Oh, there we go.
Mine is the same. My glasses. I can see my screen. Glasses. I have
Sounds
to
a
buy
little crazy
new,
right now.
new lights here. That makes different. Thank you very much. It's really awesome what you do here as a job. It's really impressive what you developed over the last. How many years you work on that?
Well, we started officially as a company in 2020, but Valentina and I started kind of investigating this in 2018.
2018. Wow. So 4 years of doing lots of work and preparation. So what will be the first day when I will wear a sweater or whatever, which is made from your product?
I mean, our goal is by like 2024 to have our first prototypes. I think that would be
cool. So right now, I got it right. You need investors, but you're also interested, like we had before with the Hurd, having companies are interested in developing products together with you. So developing the way of creating products out of Werewool products. The structure is because of the proteins you said. So is this the end color, or how do you to make it that I wear a black shirt, or is this another chemistry will come back to the old world where we waste or we pollute the world?
so because our color is structural, it's an integral part of our fiber. So it's the way that the energy kind of excites the electrons of these proteins and how, so it's all structural color. So ultimately, like the dye stuffs that we're all using right now to color our natural and synthetic fibers are usually petroleum based, really toxic, do not biodegrade in the environment. Why we're looking to structural color is to kind of to address this problem. Not only do we take away the initial energy and water consumptions that's associated with the dyeing process, we're really thinking about our textiles and their circularity, how they degrade in the environment, how they impact the world that they're entering. I hope that answers your question.
More or less.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. It's my English. if I ask the wrong questions or the wrong English. What's the business model? So is it like you sell the product at the end like normal fashion, the square meter or whatever? So what is the business model from your side?
Oh, yeah. So for the business model, in the beginning stages, we would be working through a joint development partnership with a brand and a manufacturer. And that would help us prove out our products in the marketplace. But ultimately, we do see ourselves more as just a developer of new technologies and fibers. So we would work in a licensing where we would license out our technology. And then that way we can remain more in the research and development side and create an array of fibers and performance. Because with our technology, and right now we are focused on color, but we do see this more as a platform where we can create a range of performance. So stretch, moisture management, and then this technology, we can license it out.
So the producers, the textile producers of today are your clients to help them to create new products, and you deliver the right source because of the product you developed as a scientist. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't need to do all the production. Benefiting
Yeah.
from the. So you have the DNA of the product. So like the Coca-Cola recipe, you have to own the recipe, and the others are allowed to produce based on your recipe.
That's it.
Very interesting. So what is the question if you said, please ask it to me, what would be the question that would you like to be asked?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Is it about challenges of today, or is it about what a difference from what you're doing to others, or?
I mean, we have a lot of challenges coming our way. I mean, I think everyone on this call can agree that, you know, and maybe Taylor can maybe relate to us most on that, is that it's hard the textile industry is enormous. And I think so much innovation is needed in the market right now to kind of to make the change that Xavier, sorry for the pronunciation, was talking about earlier. I think that's our greatest challenge, is like, how can we all support each other to make the change that's necessary in this world.
So the brands you work with today in order to solve these challenges are mostly like situated in the US and New York, probably, correct?
Yeah, I think I think the whole entire global fashion network has really kind of rallied around making this change. I think when we came to see you guys for your initial celebration, we were in Munich, we were in Portugal visiting some manufacturing facilities that we could partner with. We were visiting people in Milan that we could potentially work with. I think everyone's working hard to make sure that we are making the changes necessary for our industry.
So that's a good message for the people here. They should ask you to come over here and then stay here. So then we make it a German company.
That'd be great.
Even that I know that you like Italy, I know that you like Italy a lot, but there's some nice stuff. So thank you very much, Valentina and Julian, for joining us. And
thank you for having us.
In contact with me, I will connect them with you. And if I can help you, or we can help you in the German market, let us know. We know some people. So and after the presentation, from each session we make a video. And this will also be posted afterwards. So it's not only the one that we have been online on YouTube, and now in the session here, then the session we had some, and we have live on YouTube. So we have total, I think we had 70 registrations. So the one who couldn't make it, they will get the video and see the video. So we make you all famous.
Cool. Thanks. Really appreciate it.
Have a good one. Enjoy the day in New York.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So now we are in Germany. We could switch to German, but if the others are still listening, maybe it would be not nice. And I think the team is in there. Oh, hopefully I didn't forget. Okay, I forgot to ask this question. I send it over later. So Max, Berlin, we stay in English because I think the team, the others will stay with us and listen to what you're saying. So I think it would be cool if they can listen to you. So right now we're coming more to a better consumption. I would say, like, it's better consumption. It's also kind of a better service. It's definitely not a material. We could talk about a better waste management. So here in 3 sectors, if it comes to reverse supply. So reverse supply is another way of circular fashion in re-commerce, what you're doing. You have developed a white label re-commerce platform that helps retailers like Globetrotter. They use, I think, already your product. Mm-hmm. Max is a co-founder of reverse supply, and he will tell us more about his platform, which is already in use, as I mentioned, from Globetrotter and Backside and other brands. So the stage is yours. We're looking forward to learn more about what you offer in re-commerce. Max.
Thank you, Klaus. Thanks, Xavier, for having me and giving the opportunity to present reverse supply and what we contribute towards the circular economy from our end. And happy to introduce ourselves today. My name is Max. I'm one of the founders of Reverse Supply. As Klaus already mentioned, a couple words about me. I spent many years in fashion. Before and other jobs very deep in the supply chain. I was living in Asia, Bangladesh, China, and other countries for a couple of years, working with factories and brands. And what we saw there was that it's super important for brands and retailers today to move towards more sustainable products. It's something that the market is demanding from them, and obviously they have to, because we work in a super polluting industry. But we also see that many of the things that are happening very early on in the supply chain kind of disconnect from consumers. And when we founded Reverse Supply roughly 2 years ago, we wanted to bring a different possibility to the marketplace that enables brands and retailers, marketplaces, so basically everybody that's selling fashion online, to become more circular through the power of secondhand and re-commerce. And that's why we founded Reverse Supply, which is building the digital backbone of circular retail, as we call it. But as Klaus already introduced, we help brands and retailers to launch their own secondhand programs, so they can use our technology and our logistics and operational platform to basically take back pre-owned products from the consumers. We help them get them ready for a second, third, or maybe even fourth round in the market to prolong the life cycle, and then sell them again through the point of sale, where our partner brands also sell new products, as in the case of Globetrotter, Ant Angels, and other partners, but more on that later. Why is it relevant for fashion to move into secondhand today and to think about becoming more circular? On the one hand, of course, we have to act because the industry is so polluting, and we have a responsibility to change something and become better. But on the other hand, and I like what Xavier said in the beginning, there's also a big business opportunity behind it. And we see that brands are really well aware that their consumers, there's a shift in preferences. They demand brands to be more sustainable and more circular. And brands actually want to follow suit and offer possibilities there. Also in Europe, the situation is changing. The European Parliament is debating on how to call especially large brands more into their responsibility by making them implement take-back systems into their offering. And also if we look at the business opportunity behind it, we see that today in a linear system, it's not only terrible for the planet that we produce a new thing and basically have to produce a new thing for every euro of margin or revenue that we want to make in fashion, but we also leave a lot of value on the street. So for example, if we look at, I don't know, a basic blue sweater like mine, maybe today it sees 7 to 8 wears on average before it ends up in the landfill. But there's many platforms out there like Vinted, Vestiaire Collective, and so on, who basically saw that this sweater, for example, has a lot of value and a lot of life left in it that is just waiting to be captured. And we want to help brands capture that value, not only from a sustainability standpoint, but also from a business standpoint, because then you can basically make your margins and revenue larger just by selling something that's already in the marketplace, and you don't have to operate a supply chain to do that. Brands can make, as I said, more money with that. So you can really capture the full lifetime value of a product to resell, and not only maybe 20-25% of it. And it's a big push in terms of customer loyalty. So we're seeing that brands that we partner up with, they can retarget new and existing customer groups very easily. They can drive back consumers that buy stuff from their brand on different platforms to their direct consumer channel, where they can sell at higher margins. And of course, it's really engaging with the customer to enable them to send back something or trade it in for a gift card, money being sent to the bank account, or we can also plant trees Some brands want to do that in exchange for sending in products. So there's a lot of options there. We see that, secondhand can leverage the eco impact of products over a longer life cycle. So we can help to get more wares out of the product with our solution, and also for items that cannot be resold because they're damaged, the quality doesn't match the standards that we need to put an item towards a second lifetime. We can help to channel these products into the right channel for recycling or different options that are not yet there in many cases. But we are building a partnership network there to make sure that every item goes somewhere and doesn't end up in a landfill, even if it can't be worn. Why are brands not doing this themselves? When we reached out initially, or when we started reverse.supply roughly 2 years ago, we reached out to roughly 100 brands over Europe. And what we found is that basically everybody is pretty much aware of the opportunity of secondhand, of e-commerce, of the circular economy, but it's super difficult for them to build this thing by themselves. On the one hand, as a retailer or as a brand, you need a completely different technical infrastructure than what you're doing today when selling new goods. So one of the challenges that we have as a company that also manages the operations for secondhand is that every item is unique, right? So if you buy or if you develop a new style and you get it from the factory, you maybe have 10, 15, 20, 150,000 pieces of the same style under one SKU. In secondhand, every item is unique, has unique sense of wear, unique sizing. Many times we get stuff that we didn't even know existed before, so we don't know the brand and whatnot. So this is, from an operational perspective, not something that brands or most logistics providers out there can do themselves. They don't have the network to put items that can't be resold towards a good end-of-life solution, which makes the whole secondhand or e-commerce product very costly and very difficult to start with. And that's why we said, if brands want to do this, but this is what's stopping them from becoming more sustainable and going circular, let's make it easy for them by building reverse.supply. So what we do is we build a platform that is based around APIs. So a brand can integrate our API into their shop system, ERP, wherever the solution should live. And then they basically have a capability to accept stuff back from the consumers. We refurbish it in our logistics center in Berlin, create content, product images, bring the item back online, and then ship it to the next person who wants to buy it. So for brand, it's pretty easy to get started. You can get started in as little as 8 weeks or 12 weeks. Was one of the longer integrations that we had. There's no upfront investment. We earn together with the brand. So there's a revenue share with all the revenue that we create in the secondhand business, and a monthly fee for provision of the platform. And you don't have any upfront investment to basically try out secondhand, see if it works for you and your brand or your online shop, and take it from there. What does the process look like? I already touched on that a little bit. Based on our set of APIs, a brand can build their own trade-in platform, can be completely white labeled. We can set up something in 5 minutes or go for more complex integration where everything is really completely built into the store of the brand. This is where customers, sellers, in this case, can basically register the items that they want to sell. They get an immediate price offer for the item that they want to sell. If they accept, we send them a DHL label. They can go to the nearest post office, drop off the item, send it to our e-commerce hub here in Berlin, where we authenticate the item, we grade it, which means we evaluate it. We see what condition is it in, does it have folds, is there pilling, is the fabric faded, is there anything wrong with the item basically. Get some product data together, so size, fabric composition, and so on. And all this data basically feeds into an algorithm that runs into the back end of our platform, where we generate an automatic price for this item. The pricing is variable. Of course, in winter, we like to sell a winter jacket or a vest for a little bit more than in summer because there's high demand for it. And then this item can go online. Very important, of course, for e-commerce and for product data. We have our own photo studio, so we shoot thousands of pictures every day of secondhand items, where we show what is wrong with the item, what does it look like, because we realize it's really important for people who buy secondhand to get a feel for what they're actually receiving. And yeah, then the item goes online, and then it can be sold for a second time in the same checkout as new goods in the brand's online store. We ship it to the customer, and we really take care of the whole end-to-end process for secondhand for our partner brands. I mentioned the logistics center that we have here in Berlin. We get roughly 500 parcels per day today from the partner brands that we work with. So this is stuff that their customers registered in the white label trade-in portals, and we enable these people to send that stuff in. We have 22 photo stations where we shoot a lot of pictures. We steam everything. We refurbish stuff. We have a big team of experts with a fashion background who evaluate and grade items with the software that we developed in-house. And that's really the core of our business, together with the software platform and the integrations with our partners. We did a life cycle assessment a while ago because for us it was really important to understand how does what we do stack up compared to buying and selling new stuff. And we looked at the emissions that we create. So we ship stuff around, we handle stuff, we take images and so on. So we do create emissions, but if you compare it to a more linear system where a new t-shirt gets sold, in this example, we can help to save on average 6 to 7 kilo of CO2 for every secondhand item that is sold. So I think that's a large impact, and that's also one of the reasons why our partners work with us, because they see how this helps move towards their ESG and sustainability goals. Besides, let's say the sustainable or eco impact, as I said, for us it's really important to provide a very, let's say, pragmatic business model. So I think for every customer that we work with, we have to provide also a business opportunity or commercial opportunity behind it. This is one example that we can share of a direct consumer brand from Austria. After they launched secondhand in their Shopify store, we managed to increase their monthly revenue by roughly 10%. Everything with stuff that their customers sent in. So there was no, let's say, spend on additional merchandise or pre-financing. People basically put their stuff up online, sold it again, and we helped them to move up 10% in terms of revenue. And what they used from us was the resale API. We also handle payouts for them. So we create gift cards or payouts to a seller's bank account, create the content, obviously, for the online shop and the whole logistics part around it. So every brand that we work with, you can pick, let's say, several modules from our offering and create a product that works best for you. On the right, you can see a screenshot of what it looks like. This is an image that we shoot in our photo studio, and it's a little bit cut off, but you can see how that looks like in the store. And we have all the product information down to the style information. We can map that out and then show what condition the item is in. So as a customer, you really know what to expect when buying a secondhand item. Some of the brands that we work with, Klaus already mentioned it. We work with Bergzeit and Globetrotter, probably the largest outdoor sportswear retailers and e-tailers in Germany. So we are super proud that they picked us to start their secondhand business online. Globetrotter has been doing this for a while offline. They saw how successful it is in store or in their stores across Germany and wanted to take this online for a bigger impact. And we're able to do that. We just saw Variété and Angels, probably the leading fair fashion or sustainable fashion brand in Europe. Another partner that we always wanted to work with, and it's great that we got the project off the ground. It's really successful, and the customers like it a lot because it fits perfectly with the vision and the image and the mission of the brand. And we have a couple of more exciting brands to announce in the next couple of weeks, but I'm not gonna spoil the surprise. Couple of words about us. I founded the company together with Janis, a very old friend of mine. We know each other for roughly 18 years. Janis worked at Rocket and Zenshop before me, back then buying in Zalando, and built a logistics startup for Project A in Berlin. And the third co-founder and CTO on the team is Konrad, who was leading engineering at Solaris Bank and Scout Group here in Berlin. And together, we're building reverse.supply. It's not only us. We have an amazing team of 80 people here in Berlin. We are backed by some great investors. We closed our seed round earlier this year with Capnemic. We see from Cologne in the lead. We raised €5 million and have a couple of great business angels and advisors on board, like the founder of WeBuy. We have Julia, the founder of Twittery, former Amazon C-level in Europe, and so on. So we really see there's a lot of momentum when it comes to circularity and e-commerce and taking this whole thing basically mainstream and opening up for a lot of brands. And yeah, we're excited to have many great people, and maybe also you guys in the audience join us on the mission. And that's it from me. If you have any questions, ask them now. You can also reach out to me later on. That's my email address. And yeah, thank you, Klaus, for the chance to speak it today.
Thank you, Max. I already have questions in here to ask you.
All right, let's
go. From an R&D world where we prepare the future, we are in the real world. When we look at your product, so it's running, you have clients and you can scale it already. So it's not about 2023, 2024. So therefore, people are really like, what is going in the market? So Holger's asking, great idea, he said. Right step and bringing down the barriers is exactly the right move. Tick, he said. And then what are the brands saying to this? Like Adidas and Nike, they want absolutely items often phasing out of the market quick in order to sell new collections. So what are they saying to this? Because actually they don't want to have it in. So what is their response on your solution?
So when we started out, we got a lot of let's say feedback like that and questions. So I think one of the main questions that we get is, will this cannibalize my new sales? And at the beginning we didn't have that, but today we have data from our pilot customers to show that you will not actually cannibalize sales of new stuff if you sell pre-owned stuff. It's actually quite the opposite. So this is something that helps you to drive new customers, a new audience that maybe has I don't know, different money to spend and so on to your store. And we see from a brand's perspective that there's really a change in mindset, and they know that they can't really, let's say, not talk about this topic anymore for much longer, and have to address it really like head on, right? Is that how you say it? So Holger, what you said is not something that we're experiencing, but definitely in the sales process, when talking about new partnerships, we also always have to convince somebody on the partners team that is scared this is going to affect the sales of new items. But with all the partners that we work with today, this hasn't happened. Quite the opposite. It has pushed them as well.
Cool. Yeah, I think it would more like from brand perspective, do I want to mix up? But I think if you look in the future and in the discussions we have right now in comes to sustainability, there's a client base who is actually waiting for things like this, or even they're not waiting. If you don't offer it, you're out. So actually from my perspective, that what you're offering is more like a question, when is the client base or your clients, the B2B client base, ready and understood it to change their behavior and to integrate it. So my question would be, re-commerce concepts are actually a no-brainer if you ask me from my perspective. But so how is the market reflecting the amount of potential? Do they see it and do they fully use it? Or what is the potential you see in the market and what will be the development?
I think in terms of potential is huge. I'm obviously biased, but I think every fashion brand has potential to engage the e-commerce, maybe not the ultra fast fashion brands, because they optimize, let's say, for a single lifetime, unfortunately. But I think every brand in the medium to, I don't know, very, very high price segment, has the potential to run e-commerce successfully. And I think we're only scratching at the surface today. As reverse.supply, as industry, we have a lot to do to enable brands to get there faster. But I think every brand that we speak with has seen or let's say understood the potential, and this is something that they put on their agenda, whether it's in, let's say, an isolated pilot project, proof of concept, whatever, or as something that is really part of their strategy. Example, Globetrotter that we have here, it's a super important topic for them. Everybody's kind of dealing with this topic.
As I know that you're very successful, I know that if someone wants to work with you, they have to speed up because you have a very long waiting list already.
Yeah,
but I don't want to send them away, so they should keep on running in and try working with you.
But I think the issue that we have, maybe to add on to that, is because we have this operational part in our business model.
Yeah.
We're not purely a software company. Looking at the investor in the round, many investors don't like that because it's more difficult to scale. But yeah, we're trying to best to be as fast as possible.
But if you look at the topics like how much money companies invest in CRM loyalty, and they're suffering, special fashion retailers, in traffic, this is a huge opportunity from my perspective. So you can offer them the solution, the software and the logistics. Do they also think about integrating that in their marketing strategy? Like if they do a loyalty program, historically it was called a plastic card, a customer card, and then it was part of the whole campaign and all the marketing strategy. So what is the strategy if you look like Globetrotter? Do they think about creating own marketing strategies? Do they think about integrating your tool in the existing loyalty tools? Like if you bring back a product, you get special points in your loyalty program. If you buy one, you get double points because you bought a recycled or circular product. And do they do own kind of campaigns on this?
Maybe let me try to answer the question. So when we talk to brands, we always talk to the sustainability department, obviously the e-commerce department, and then of course marketing, because as I said earlier, it's a huge loyalty topic. And for us, and the mission or the vision that we have, we kind of try to sneak in sustainability through the marketing and loyalty backdoor into a brand's business model. And yeah, it's super powerful. And every brand that we talk to, they of course have a very commercial or pragmatic interest from a customer loyalty perspective in this business model as well. So that's definitely something.
Yeah, actually Holger wrote back he want to extend this and talk to you further. He has your contact data now, so he will contact you anyway. So I have one last question. This is a white label, so own brands can offer products on their website from their own brand, or do they also take back products from competitors and then offer it on your platform?
It's a good question. So in the case of Armed Angels, it's like a closed system for Armed Angels. If we look at multi-brand retailers like Backside or Globetrotter, who have let's say an assortment of a couple of hundred brands on the new product side, they accept all these brands on the pre-owned side, and then some more brands actually, because of course, yeah, the assortment, it can be different. It's always connected to what the partners or multi-brand partners do in general, so sportswear, outdoor, hiking, and so on. But yeah, we would like to extend it a little bit to create an attractive assortment, because in secondhand, yeah, creating supply of high quality products is usually the most difficult thing to do, because you can't really, I mean, you can, but it's more difficult to kind of pull the levers to match supply and demand.
Interesting. There's so many other questions, but the problem is always the time we have. So if it comes to me, no brainer. If no one is working with you, I don't know the answer why not. Actually, maybe there are other more important topics on their list, but I think it's a no-brainer. eBay and others already out there, and they can take and use actually this topic to make it more popular and to drive sustainability and circular economy based on their own strategy internally. So thank you very much, Max, for joining us. Same for you. We will make a video out of the session, and the video will be posted afterwards with some social media posts. Let me see. I have maybe 2 more questions. No, I already answered the questions. Sorry.
Thank you, guys. Have a good
So
evening.
thank you
Bye.
very much. And so we're done. To all the others, as I mentioned already, there will be videos you can see afterwards on our website and our Mediathek. Will be posted on social media. If anyone wants to get in contact with one of the startups, feel free to contact us. We're happy to connect you with the startups, or you can either go by yourself over LinkedIn and any other channel to get in contact with the startups. So stay tuned. Next week, we will have a next session on Monday. It's about plastic and packaging. So a very important topic. We have 3 other great startups we will present, and Xavier will be again our keynote speaker and will tell us a little bit about the market, what's going on there, why it's so important, and what really can we change when it comes to figures in these markets. So enjoy the evening, look the World Cup or not, and see you next week on Monday. Bye-bye.